This is FE Peer Review. The date is May the 10th, 2022. Santos Bonacci and Adam spread Tartaria disinformation and can't comprehend diverging lines. The bad news is that Santos Bonacci is running around Australia with a fellow named Adam, and they are in Melbourne. My condolences to the people of Melbourne. They have gone and visited this building here and have a bunch of nonsense to say about the architecture of it, which I won't get into, but they do say one thing in specific, which we will see, and I will be covering in this video. However, there is good news. The good news is that the video, which was released on April 21st, has gotten 4,372 views. While Simon Dan's debunk, which came out this morning, has in these last few hours gotten 11,886 views. So it's a pleasure to see that people seeking solid information significantly outnumber those open to the kind of nonsense that Bonacci spreads with his Tartaria garbage. Okay, on with the show.
And you can tell, that one of my friends, Chincha Govinda Das, he's made his own flat earth map, and it's brilliant. It's all comprehensive and extensive, and he's saying that if you look at the state lines of the Northern Territory, they're narrower at the top than they are at the bottom, showing that those are magnetic lines. When you see these state borders, right, straight lines, that's all magnetism, man. It's all pointing to the North Pole, which is the center of the Earth, right? So if you...
The state lines of the Northern Territory are not closer together at the top than they are at the bottom. Actually, they're not closer together in the north than they are in the south. These guys don't seem to know what is top or bottom. They are actually farther apart in the north. So we will take a quick look at that here. I have put pins at 4 points. I've kept the path red lines on the same latitude, and I've put the pins on the same longitude, which are the longitudes of the two of the east and west borders. So we go south 26, east 129, across to south 26, east 138 at the southern border of the Northern Territory. And then up in the northern section, we go from south 16.6 east 129, same longitude. We go over to south 16.6 to E138. So those two lines, on a flat Earth, the northern line would be shorter, as these east-west borders would be converging towards the North Pole. On a globe Earth, since we're in the southern hemisphere, these lines actually converge at the South Pole. So, which line is longer? Here is the path of the south line. There's our south line. Let's get the details. Measurements. We'll convert that to kilometers. 901 kilometers. Okay, let's go up to the... Now let's go up to the north line, and we'll get its details. (960 kilometers). So, the line at the south is 901, the line at the north is 960. Santos, if you're listening to this, you have some explaining to do. You or your friend Adam there, I'm not sure which one of you is talking on the video, are completely backwards and wrong on this subject. The northern line is longer than the southern line. So can you explain why you're spreading this kind of nonsense and disinformation to your audience? Now, are you going to make a case that this map here, which is Google Earth, is a globe Earth map and therefore it's wrong? You're welcome to make that case. However, if you do, you need to provide measurements, actual measurements of these locations showing that this map is wrong. And if you're going to claim that these lines are of the opposite lengths, you need to provide the measurements that show that they are. just spouting nonsense on your YouTube video isn't reality. You're not spreading the truth. So let's see some integrity, huh? You look like you pass yourself off as a nice guy, a good spiritual person, and you're spreading lies, and you know it. So let's see your numbers, huh? Show us your numbers. Well, as some of my audience here may have figured out, I don't particularly care for Santos Bonacci. I know that that's coming through in this video, and I'm probably not supposed to let my feelings show. But I think there's no harm. I've said no ill against him. I'm asking him to provide evidence for his claims. That's all. Good, solid evidence. Interestingly, those lines do converge in the Northern Hemisphere. I did a video about that, showing how the north-south lines converge northward in the United States. And you can see that in the layout of the borders that were set up during the time of Thomas Jefferson's presidency. And it's still evident in the layouts of fields in the farmland in the center of the country. So the lines do actually converge to the north in the Northern Hemisphere. But oddly enough, they converge to the south in the Southern Hemisphere. Let's look at some of those fields. I'll put a link to this video I did about Jefferson. Here you can see the layout of the grid that was done during Jefferson's presidency. And every so often there's a step in the grid. These steps have to do with the fact that they had to make adjustments for Earth curvature as they moved northward in their layouts in order to keep the fields and dividing lines running north-south. There's an adjustment line. So this horizontal line here going across the middle of the screen, the fields to the south of it, then there's a jog, and then they continue again. That there is globe Earth geometry. Welcome to reality, Santos. You're always welcome to rejoin us anytime you wish. If you haven't already clicked that like button, please do so if you're enjoying this video, and please do leave a comment. Now, I've decided at the last minute here that I need to say a little bit more about Santos since we're on the subject of Santos Bonacci. But rather than saying it myself, I'm going to share with you a few little bits from some other videos, and I will leave links to those videos in the description. I think they say what needs to be said far better than I can. Alright, that's enough. Please do watch this to the end. I think this is probably the most important part.
Settle in. Today we read from the personal writings of Santos Bonacci, a person who describes himself as a man of love and patience, and he runs a spiritual retreat in Mexico where you can go and listen to him teach you how to be a better person and a spiritual being full of love and compassion. Oh, doesn't that sound lovely? Are you ready, children? Well, here we go. Santos, the spiritual leader, writes to FTFE and says, listen up, fuckface. Listen up real good, cunt. I make all the rules, and you will suck my dick, cunt. The show will go how I want it to, 'cause your mother is a whore, and mine is a good woman, so you lose. So since your mother's cunt stinks like shit, I'm gonna run the show how the fuck I like to. Get it, dumb cunt? And you're going to make a perpetual fool of yourself. Remember, cunt, you came to me. I didn't come to you. So I will call all the shots. You better be able to prove you're Jesuit Santa Bull cunt, or you will be on my target list forever. And I will make you the poster child for an upside down jackass forever. Wasn't that lovely, children? Santos and FTFE tried to have a conversation that they agreed to, but due to the fact that Santos huffed too much glue as a child, he wasn't able to properly work Hangouts, even though everybody on the entire planet has been using it non-stop for the past 18 months. So Santos and FTFE carried on communicating and arranged another day to talk. Here is what Santos said. "Fuck off, dumb cunt. You'll get your humiliation in due time. You are a faggot and a degenerate liar. We will see you on Wednesday. You, audience, is made up of faggots, degenerates like you. Mine is made up of truthers and warriors, no comparison. Definitely your mother was a whore and a slut, and you need your throat slit. And it will happen, cunt! I thank you for joining me here today, children. I hope you enjoyed today's trip into the mind of a flat earther. See you next time on Flurf Storytime. Goodbye now. Look, I know I'm not...
That revealing little bit of the writings of Santos Bonacci was brought to you by FTFE. You'll find a link to that video in the description. The following video is something from Mr. Sensible, which I think is equally revealing. But I also want to mention, for those of you watching this who are perhaps curious about Santos and want to know more about him, I encourage you to do your own research. One way you could start would be to go to Google or any other web search engine you use and type in Santos Bonacci Abuser and take a good look through the results. Alright, that's enough now. On to Mr. Sensible.
You may be subject to an attachment of earnings or an attachment of debts order. Your real estate may be subject to a charge order and sale. You may be arrested. Now, if I had run up a couple of $100 worth of debt, I think I would pay the fine pretty damn quick. What's that, Santos? It's not a couple of $100. How much is it then? $132,251.10. 130k. 483 infringements. Unbelievable. What do you think will happen if you owe over $130,000 and don't pay? You're going to get a visit.
Name Santos.
I'm not here to argue with you.
It's not a natural name. It's a corporate trade name. And are you aiding and abetting me? Are you aiding and abetting me to commit fraud?
We need to ask you whether you can pay $132,251.
You need to seek.
Can you pay?
Well, officer, I'm going for two answers. One, he can't pay, and two, even if he could, he won't. The Supreme Court judge last week sentenced Bonacci to 6 weeks in prison for reprehensible contempt of court. But he's on the run. During sentencing, Justice Stephen Kay said there was no alternative sentence for Bonacci's entirely unacceptable and reprehensible contempt of Victoria's justice system. Bonacci bombarded the court with abusive and threatening emails and called on his followers to do the same, publishing addresses for the judge, his associate and other county court staff. And it also used his internet radio show to promote his campaign. Justice Kay said the 7-week campaign was deliberate and inexcusable. Each successive email was more intemperate, abusive and threatening than its predecessor. The degree of abuse and obscene language contained in the emails was specifically directed to elevating the level of intimidation contained in these communications. Santos, I think that the bad case of the piles would be preferable to the foul-mouth abuse that comes out of your mouth. If anybody wants to see the full debate between him and Fight, I'll put a link up here. If I ever hear anything about you again, Santos, it will be too soon. By the way, how's your legal argument going with those sheriffs?